Okay, so haven't done a video like this in a while because I haven't had anything PC related to make a video about, but today is a big day. Doing a brand new PC build. My current PC I've been using since 2013. I made a couple of upgrades in like 2016, around there, where I upgraded my graphics card and my processor at some point. But besides that, even then, it's still like, that'd make it like a 4-year-old system. And I think it's just time to just do a whole new build. So I'm very excited. We're gonna just get into it. It's gonna be a little bit special. We're gonna make it fancy, paint it, and do something artsy with it. Okay, so this is the case. Sorry about the mess around. We're gonna tune that out and tune into what's happening right here. I think I'm gonna just open it up and just try to get an idea for how it looks and what it feels like, because I want to paint it and I'm not exactly sure about like the construction of it, the materials, and what I'm gonna have to do to accomplish that. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so there it is. That's the case. It's looking good. I'm almost thinking I could just paint directly on this. I originally planned on priming it first, but this feels like a good surface to paint on, so I'm tempted to just kind of jump into it and hope I don't horribly mess anything up. So I want to talk a bit about the design aspect of this project. I knew as soon as I started planning this build that I wanted to create something that'd be unique and instantly recognizable as my style. I tried out a couple different designs and drawings, some of which will end up being like either merch or like just stuff I post on its own, but I ended up really liking this concept with the buildings and the piano keys. It felt like a good representation of like my overall aesthetic while also giving me a pretty fun challenge. Some changes were made in the final version, but I mostly just stuck to the initial design that I did digitally. Off to the side, you might notice that in addition to the drawing I did, I also have a 3D reference that I was working from. The sketch I did was pretty loose, and I didn't hone in on a lot of the small details and forms that would have to get drawn. I was kind of just freehanding it, really, so instead of doing a more detailed line work pass like I normally would, and then drawing it again, I decided to do a quick layout with some kit bash models that I have, and I just loosely referenced those for some of the ideas for details. Okay, so the drawing is done, I think. There might be some like slight changes as I move along, but I think I have a solid enough sort of guideline to start painting. So I'm just gonna get to that. This is the really nerve-wracking part because there's really no going back once the paint is down. So we'll see what happens. One of the biggest challenges for this piece was the perspective. Because I love to give myself extra work, I decided to do it in 5-point perspective. So whenever I mention 5-point perspective, people usually ask, well, what are the 5 points? Why are there 5? You only need the one, which is true. But, so just in case you're wondering, for this drawing, there's a vanishing point in the middle, close to the center, which acts as the sort of main point. If you were in first-person perspective, that would be the 1 point. Then there's one off to either side, just outside of, I guess, what would be my canvas. If I were working on a larger piece of paper, they would be, you know, off to the left and right. And then 2 more, one at the top and one at the bottom. The reason I did this rather than doing 1, 2, or even like 3-point perspective is because this is how you accomplish that rounded fisheye look that the final drawing ends up having. Because the case is very boxy and like angular, I wanted the artwork to have some curves and sort of break up the shape a little. And when you're working with buildings, there aren't a whole lot of curves or round shapes there. So I thought the best way to work around that would be giving it this sort of fisheye look, and I'm super happy with how it came out. Okay, so that's the progress for day 1. I was hoping I could finish all of this today, but it turned out to be a lot more time consuming than expected. So I'm going to get back at it in the morning and hopefully get this painted and get some... All right, day 2, we're back at it. We're doing some more painting. It's good getting to sort of look at it with fresh eyes after working on it the entirety of last night. until like 4 a.m. pretty much. I think I should be able to get it finished today and hopefully get this built today. Let's see what happens. Getting to work on this was a nice change of pace from my usual work. Pretty much 100% of the work I do, both personally and professionally, involves digital media, which is, to be fair, where I'm most comfortable and where I feel like I'm the most creative, which is probably why I did a lot of the planning for this digitally. But every once in a while, it feels really great to step away from that and play around with a different medium. I used to paint a lot a few years ago, and it's something that I've always missed, but just never had a good reason to pick up again, since it's not practical for the work I do for myself or for clients. And I think even more importantly, this was just a chance for me to make a piece of art for myself. Even for work that I would consider to be for myself in a way, I always post it. I always, the goal is in one way or another to, progress all this stuff that I'm working on. And this, while maybe a bit ironic that I'm making a video about it and then posting it, hoping people will watch it, but the project in and of itself was something that was just for me. It's just a piece of art that is going to sit on my desk that I get to look at every day, and that felt really good. I feel like a lot of the time when you're making art either for other people or you're making it to practice so you can get better at your craft or whatever else it is, it can always feel like work. And this didn't so much feel like work. It felt like I was just making something purely because I wanted to create something I would enjoy that would make me happy to look at every day. So that was really good, and I hope I can make more time to do projects like this in the future. Okay, so it's about 11 o'clock right now. It has been many hours. I think I'm finally done painting with this case. So I think I'm going to put a varnish on it, make it nice and smooth or whatever. Hopefully that goes well. And finally gonna start putting it together. So I'm pretty excited. Just gonna do the thing now, I guess. Man, it's kind of scary having to sort of commit to what I put down in the paint. I'm like, what if I want to change it later? What if I want to add stuff? But I guess that's just kind of the nature of traditional mediums. I don't usually paint with physical paint. I'm much more a digital artist than anything else. So it's weird. It's a weird thing. But, doing something different today. It's a good time. Okay, so there are a couple parts I'm reusing from the current PC, including the power supply and my drives. So I'm gonna have to tear it apart a little bit. So I'm gonna get this disconnected and start just testing out the new parts and seeing if they all work. I really hope they do. And here it is. This is the PC. It's in my room and everything's hooked up. And I'm amped about it. I'm so happy with how it came out with the paint. And I'm so excited to finally have an upgrade from the system I was using before. It's got a 3950X, it's got a 2080 Ti, 64 gigs of RAM, which is a pretty huge step up from what I was using before. and I am just really excited to start working on it and just seeing how far I could push it. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I have to get a couple pieces of software installed, and that is going to be the end of this little project. So thank you for joining me on this wild journey. It has been such a trip. I've been hot and sweaty for days, but it was worth it for this.